Call this meeting to order. Dr. Goldthrow, would you lead us in our invocation, please?
Yes. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, as we enter 2025, we ask for your guidance. Fill our hearts with wisdom, joy, and courage. May your light shine in our lives, and may we be instruments of your peace. Let our decisions tonight reflect your perfect will. We thank you for all of our blessings, but most of all, we thank you for the pathway to salvation that you provided for us through your Son, Jesus Christ. And it is in his name that I pray. Amen.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. We're going to open. Does anybody want to have any public comments tonight? Okay, hearing none. Dr. Morrison.
Mr. Grant and the Board of Trustees, I present to you today, I want you to consider and discuss the building currently known as the Knapp John Rosen Building, new naming per CL Local. I'd like to present to you the opportunity with great excitement to rename that building the Archie and June Dennis Education Center for all the years of support that Archie and June have provided to Trinity Valley Community College. I could not think of a better way to honor them and their legacy at this institution.
Thank you, Dr. Morrison. Mr. and Ms. Dennis are here tonight, and they've been supporters of the college for many years and great citizens, and we're fortunate to have them in our community. I'd like to make a motion that we would rename the building in their honor.
I'd like to second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Do you want to say anything or?
Be someone else come along, be able, and will give as many scholarships as we have.
Can we get a, Candy, would you mind taking a quick picture of it? Where it's up here? Yeah. We'll scoot back. I do will say we will have a official dedication once Marcus gets that name on the building. But that'll be in the works in the coming weeks. So we'll do official dedication at the building.
Moving on, we're going to kind of juggle a few things. Kevin Cashin will be here to do our review of our audit. He's in another meeting and is on his way here, actually. So we'll move that to later into the agenda. Items number 5 and 6 have been pulled or tabled tonight. And so that leads us to the president's report. Dr. Morrison.
All right, before I turn over to Tammy and her exciting news for the institution, just want to give a couple of updates. We have 3 teams currently nationally ranked in the polls. Our softball team, 13, women's basketball is 13, and the guys are still holding strong at number 2. So that's very exciting in the athletic world. Our cheerleaders are headed off to Salt Lake tomorrow to compete in the first ever National Junior College Athletic Association cheer competition. So we'll be watching them this weekend. And also give a shout out to Brandon Coleman, who season unfortunately came to an end yesterday, but he did a great job in touting Trinity Valley on NBC on the football games in the evening, they have the player introduce themselves and say what school they're from. Well, all 3 times this year when Brandon played on that game, he said Trinity Valley Community College. So that's pretty exciting to see that, and we've been kind of giving him some props and reaching out to him and so forth, because we're proud of his story, and it is a great story that Poe told me when he came here with no offers, and redshirted that first year and worked his tail off, and then got recruited by TCU. Then look at him now, you know, 3rd round pick and 2nd pick in the 3rd round, and made it to the NFC Championship game. So way to go, Brandon, and representing Trinity Valley. But I'm going to turn over Tammy first because she has some really great news, what's happening at Trinity Valley when it comes to enrollment.
Good evening, board. I want to start off with fall enrollment for our final FTE. I realized after the November board meeting that I didn't give you all those final numbers. So for fall, our increase in FTE was ended up being 11.38%. With a total number of 491 student headcount increase over fall of 2030. That number for fall of 24 was 4645 for FTE. For spring, we still have about 8-9 weeks before we'll have final numbers, but we're already up 8.05% in enrollment. The numbers that you have here from last week, I've updated today. So we're at 8.05% increase for FTE for spring 25. Like I said, we'll still enroll for 8-week 2 through the middle of March. So we still have quite a ways to go just to see that number grow. As we stand right now, we are at 223 head count over where we were spring of 24. So making good strides there. It's fun to see. It's exciting. The team has done a great job at recruiting the students, getting them registered, getting their financial aid processed, all their student account stuff done, marketing and all of their efforts, all of the work with the advocacy center and everything else that supports our students. So it's been exciting times, and we're looking forward to see where we go from here.
Thank you, Tammy. Our next guest is going to be Tom Sherham. He's the president of the Faculty Association and also our welding instructor extraordinaire. He's going to give us an update about the welding program. And while he's getting prepared, I just want to kind of let the board know we had a terrific ribbon cutting ceremony Thursday in Palestine. We had a huge turnout from the community, a lot of excitement in Palestine about that new facility, and TDCJ is very pleased with that new training center. And we also opened our Cardinal HQ, which is the advocacy center that Tammy was talking about. And a lot of people in the community are looking to get involved in the food pantry, the clothing pantry, and the resources that we provide in that advocacy center and providing wraparound services for our students. So it's been a great week at Trinity Valley. Now, Tom, give us an update on the welding program and what you're working on.
All right. So I think that most of y'all know that we had a little setback in the fall. We had an electrical issue. We have resolved that. Have moved machines back over into the welding building, and we are getting ready for the spring semester. And what I'd like to do first is tonight here is talk about our welding program so that y'all are aware of what we do and some things that are on the horizon that we want to look forward to. So first off, what we offer our students, as you see on your screen, we offer an associate applied arts and science degree. We offer a welding certificate, and that is a certificate of completion, a pipe welding certificate, which is also a certificate of completion, and then the OSA, which is an occupational skills award. And so if you go to the next slide, our enrollment, we have capacity for 25 students. And as of this semester, we have 12 enrolled in the AAS. We have 32 in the welding certificate and 4 in the pipe and 1 in the OSA. What I'm going to present to you tonight, these numbers, you may come back and go, wait a minute here, I got some questions. So let me talk about our certificates that we offer. Our welding certificate is an all-around welding certificate where our students, when they complete that, they should be able to go into the welding industry and be able to obtain employment. In that consists of 32 semester hours. Our students who start that in the fall semester, they can complete that certificate by the following May, provided that they take everything that they should and that they pass their classes. The pipe welding certificate consists of 17 semester hours. We take some of the classes from the welding certificate, combine those with 3 pipe welding classes to create that pipe welding certificate. Most of our students are going to enroll in the welding certificate. Once they complete that, they would have over half of their pipe welding certificate completed. We offer the last 2 pipe welding classes in the summer 1. And so a lot of our students come back and pick those last 2 classes up, complete the pipe welding certificate. So we can have a student that starts in August, and by the end of the next June, they can have 2 of our welding certificates completed. The pipe welding certificate gives them the experience and hopefully the skills to be able to work in the pipe welding industry. And that's where I'm going to go with tonight. But I also wanted you to see here the industries that we serve: transportation, automotive, rail, ship, air, energy, oil and gas. And I highlighted that one in red, and construction and manufacturing and aerospace, because these seem to be the industries that are the hot industries. In the energy and oil and gas, it's the construction of facilities, pipelines, equipment that is used in various facilities, new construction and maintenance. Then in the agriculture, it's equipment and facilities. Construction, we typically think of anything from modular homes to high-rise buildings, and anything in between that. And not necessarily just in structures, but there's many other areas in that as well that our students can obtain employment. And then the manufacturing is unlimited. Just about everything that that the United States produces, there is some form of welding involved in that, whether it's may not be in actually making a product, but the facility that it may have been made in had welding involved in it. And then the last one down there, that's the new frontier, aerospace. And as it grows, the demand is going to grow. All right, Morgan, please, ma'am. So the demand. This is information that I obtained from the welding workforce data. And this information is also backed up by the American Welding Society and several of our major companies that produce welding equipment and welding consumables. But I highlighted the first portion of it there. I wanted you to see the welding industry will face a shortage of about 360,000 welders by 2027, according to the American Welding Society. The reason for that, baby boomers. Unfortunately, most of us, some of us, not all of us, but the baby boomers are retiring or retiring. I'll just leave it that way. So those positions are having to be filled. And we've been seeing these same numbers for quite a few years now. I can remember back in about 2018 or so, they were already projecting that we were going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 150,000 to 200,000 welders short, and it continues to grow. All right, Morgan, thank you, ma'am. So what we are wanting to do at our welding academy is we're wanting to create a pipe welding training facility. We look at our competitors around our portion of the state of Texas here, and I don't believe that any of them have anything of this nature. And so we are wanting to provide something for our students that will get them into the area where they can make the most money. And the most money out there is in the pipe welding sector. So I have a proposal here. We go to the next slide, our desired outcomes. To prepare students to be the best of our abilities, for them to be able to obtain employment in the welding industry. So we want to give them the opportunity to learn what they need to have to be able to obtain that employment. The two pictures that you see there are representations of two different forms of pipe welding. The picture to the left is an individual welding on what we would call a cross-country pipeline. And that's where the really good money's at. The picture to the right is what we call a industrial piping system, which would be found inside a industrial facility. And so the need for welders in both of these areas is very great. Let's go to the next slide, Morgan. So how do we do this? In order to give our students the best opportunity to be successful in the pipe welding industry, we need to provide settings that are realistic as possible. This means creating an environment that replicates the real working environment. Along with this, we need equipment that is the same as what they will be working with in that environment. Morgan, let's go. So this is another example of an industrial piping system where we would see these. If we were to go down to the coast of Texas from Corpus Christi to Beaumont, it is lined up with facilities down there, whether it be in the petroleum industry, chemical plants, you name it. There is the opportunities down there are great. We also have those same opportunities in our area of the state as well. We see a lot of this in manufacturing. We see it in food processing, right down here in Palestine. What's the
Anderson.
So they have a poultry processing facility there. A tremendous amount of piping that is used in that. All right, Morgan. So proposal. I don't know how many of you have been and know where the welding building is here on campus. I know that Mr. Grant does. He walks by it every morning. Behind the welding building is the picture there on the left. That's what it currently looks like. Originally, that was a paved and asphalt that was approximately about 1.5 to 2 inches thick. Over the years and using a forklift on that asphalt has gone away. To the right, you see a picture there that is what we would like to do back there. We want to transform that area back there to a welding, behind the welding building, to a realistic pipe welding training area. So the first item that you see there would replicate a industrial piping system. We would build this, our students would build it. We would have that to where in the welding classes, the pipe welding classes, those students could go out there and actually be working in an environment that would as closely be to what they would see out there in the working world without taking them to a facility of that nature. All right, Morgan, let's go to the next one. Equipment. We would like to provide them with equipment that they would be using in this area. What this means is that we would need a portable welding machine. I gave you two there. The first one, the one that says Miller on it, that's a brand new portable machine. The one to the right is what most of us have probably seen up and down the highways, guys with their welding machines on the back of trucks and working the pipelines. All right, there's more. Thank you. So also back there, where behind the welding building, you're looking, the picture to the left is a view between the welding building and the automotive building. We would like to pour all of this area in concrete back there. And then the picture to the right shows where we would establish a cross-country pipeline area where our students would actually be out. We would take that portable welding machine, allow them to learn to weld just like they would have to on a cross-country pipeline. We think that we would be able to offer them something that most of our competitors are not able to or are not offering right now. So next slide. Yeah, here's what we would have: the industrial piping learning station, and then at the far end there, we would have the cross-country pipeline station there for our students to work with. All right, Ms. Morgan. So I give you some information here. The picture in this is actually a pay stub from a former student who pipelines. And it's a little bit hard to read, so I broke it down over there to the right. In pipeline, most of those welders are paid in this manner. If you see up there, the first one, it says arm wages. That is the wages that the individual earns while working on the pipeline. And with this young man right here, he was making $42 an hour for himself. His welding truck makes $18 an hour. Then below that, per diem, money that is paid to them for living expenses. This particular company pays $120 a day per diem. So we break that down, that comes out to $72 an hour in that industry. That's pretty common. Most pipe welding, cross-country pipe welding, $65 an hour is about the bottom, and it goes up from there. This is going to be about the average of about $72. In the industrial piping, wages there, most of those individuals starting out new would be in the $30 hour range, all the way up to $45, $50 an hour. Depending upon where it is, what it is, and by that, I mean, whether it's the welding process that's being used and the facility that it would be being done in. Chemical plants, petroleum plants, that pay is going to be more because of the has to be done right. Can't have any mistakes in it. All right, Mr. Morgan. Thank you, ma'am. So some issues that we have with our facilities. First one is that the building is 50 years old and it looks like it. Mr. Grant walks by it quite frequent. We have, and he knows what it looks like. We have leaks in the roof. The outer metal has numerous dents and holes in it and needs to be replaced. We have a drainage issue. That building floods when we have extreme rainfall. I have walked in before with 2 inches of water in the classroom and in the shop. And then behind the shop where we're wanting to pour the concrete, we're unable to use our forklift back there to be able to handle our metal where we would store it. And so the concrete would be a great asset to us. When I first took over the program, we didn't have a forklift, and we relied on our students to handle the metal. We had a liability issue there. We've gotten that corrected. We now have a forklift where we can move metal without the chance of hurting someone. And then space. Interior of the shop and the classroom are crowded. My classroom is really small. With 25 students in it, it's really crowded. I've had let's say the luxury, but I've had the privilege in the years that I've been teaching that I've been able to add equipment to our shop to give our students other experience other than just welding. We have an iron worker, which is a machine that allows us to shear and punch metal. We have a CNC plasma cutter, which is a plasma cutter is a machine that allows us to cut metal using electrical arc and compressed air. Being CNC, we're allowed to go in and establish what we want to cut in the computer, and then the machine will cut it for us. And we've upgraded with some other things. We've been able to upgrade our welding machines over the years. So we feel like we have good equipment. We just really have some real tight space. So desired upgrades. Pour concrete behind the building, a new roof, new outer metal from the building, and improve the drainage system. And the benefits from this: provide our students with a realistic training facility, help in recruiting students, real working world setting, and a nice looking facility. I know that some of you may have the opportunity. A lot of our public schools really have nice facilities. So when a student comes and they're interested in our welding program, and from the outside, they're looking at a 50-year-old building that's got dings and dents and holes in the metal, that may be a deterrent there. So the next one there would be in that recruiting, but then reduce maintenance upkeep. New roof, shouldn't have to worry about leaks, okay? And the flooding. Then a fresh look to the community. We're a part of this community. And so by having a building that, if you guys have seen what's happening with fine arts and with the math building, wow, it's great. I think that Mr. Grant would probably like walking by a building that has a little better appearance to it. And then the last one right there, not as expensive as a new facility. So questions, anybody have a question for me? Be glad to answer. Yes, Dr. Duffy.
Well, you mentioned something about it gets a little crowded in there. I don't see anything that's going to increase your square footage.
Well, Dr. Morrison and I have talked about that. There's maybe a few things that we can do in that classroom area. But by having that pipe training facility behind, some of those students will be outside there. And so it won't be quite as crowded. My plan in that is to put them on a rotational basis so that 2 or 3 of them will be out there working on that. Others would be inside the shop learning on those machines that are in there.
Good, thank you.
Unless y'all wanted to consider a new. I'll throw it out.
It's not where I was going.
I've got one.
Yes, sir.
I know that we talked about drainage, and I know now that asphalt has been put in there so much, it kind of drains back to the building in a couple of spots. But also the concern of the creek back there. Sometimes it gets up. Are we making, with our drainage plans, or are we making plans to do to eliminate that or try to?
You know, Mr. Grant, most of the flooding that I have experienced in that building comes from the street. Very seldom have I had anything from the creek come up in the back there. But I know that there is that possibility, and we've had those before I was teaching in that building. I know that there was some issues of that nature. Dr. Morrison may be able to answer that question better than myself.
When we get to that item in the capital improvement, we're going to talk about the drainage projects includes a larger catch basin, which will help control the flow into the creek and also shoot the water around more versus into the building. Unfortunately, we've had numerous places on campus where whoever designed it had the porches going into the building versus away from the building. From the Fine Arts Building to now the Archie and June Dennis Education Center, water was being pushed into the building versus sloped and graded away from the building. So those are items we're correcting with these sidewalk projects and all of that.
Anything else? Thank you all. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, I see Kevin Cashin of Golub Morgan and Petty is here, our county firm, to give us some good news.
Oh, thank you. That's who they speak to for you.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. I appreciate it. Thank you, board, for allowing me to be here tonight. I'm not going to take a lot of your time. You had a copy of the report that was provided to you last week. And then also you have a letter that I sent to you. It's kind of a summary of the year. I think it kind of outlines a lot of the things, the significant things that took place. Fiscal year ending 8/31/24 was an outstanding year. I'm gonna be honest, it really was. You know, a lot of great things that happened here on campus, a lot of great things, and you're starting to see the fruits of your labor from the past several years. And a lot of exciting things going on in the college right now. Just real quick, I do want to address, if you go to page 3 in your financials, because this is really the most important reason that you hire us as an auditing firm, is come in and render an opinion in the financials of the college. Our opinion is on pages 3 through 5. And basically at the very top there on page 3, basically states that in our opinion, based on the audit, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of Trinity Valley College as of 8/31/24 and 23, and the results of operations and cash flows for the year ending in accordance with GAAP. So basically, this is what's considered an unmodified or a clean audit opinion. This is the highest opinion we can render on the financial statements of the college. Going back to the letter that I provided you, again, some of the highlights, if you look at your MD&A document, which David prepared, and again, before I go any further, I want to say thanks to David and Stephanie, their whole crew for helping us. You got an outstanding staff, and they do a great job for you. And we, you know, plus they're really fun to work with. We really enjoy working with them. that makes it even more pleasurable to do the audit. So just real quick, if you look on page, over to page 10, this is where a lot of my letter came from. Page 10, and this is in the MD&A in the report. It basically shows a comparison between 24 and 23. That's why I think the MD&A is a significant document, because you get to see some comparisons between the 2 years. If you get into the meat of the financials, you do get to see some comparisons, but this is a good direct thing. If you look there, your operating revenues, maybe kind of hard to see, but if you see there, for 24, it was a little over $11 million compared to 12,863,000 the year before. So that is a decrease. But I want to point out that the reason you see the decrease is because with your tuition and fees, one of the things the code board requires you to do when you present your report is to show those netted discounts. Now, what are discounts? That is financial aid that comes in that helps pay tuition and fees for your students. And so they don't want you to double dip. In other words, they don't let you show your revenues for your tuition and fees that grows, then show the funding that comes in with your Pell money and all that as well. So you discount that for the money that comes in. And where that money shows up is if you go down there under non-operating revenues and expenses, you see that federal non-operating revenue of $9.6 million. So that's where that money comes in and shows up there. So you're not showing it twice. Also, when you show those discounts there, you also, your operating costs, your scholarships and those things are discounted. The net comes out there as well. So, but if you just to address it, if you go down to your increase in net position, overall for 24, you had a $2.3 million increase compared to the 2.4. Now that seems like it may just be a relatively flat year, but if you scroll up a little bit, you see that loss on the contingency that you're fully aware of, and I addressed that in my letter. That's the money that had to be paid back to the Department of Education. Okay, that money has been paid back. It was accrued at 8/31. I believe that money was paid back in December. Is that correct? So that money's been paid back. If you add that 3.9 million into the year, that's a big year. It really is. So again, and that's, like we talked with Dr. Morrison last week with Stephanie, you're ahead $3.9 million to start this fiscal year because you're not going to have to incur that cost again. That was a one-time fee that you were able to deal with. And you were fortunate that you were able to set back funds knowing that this was something that was going to probably take place. You had the money available, so you were able to take care of that. So again, I commend you for that and your planning and being ready for that. The other thing I want to address is that there's a little blurb at the bottom of the letter, but if you flip back in your report, the criminal audit section starts back on page 61. And we started working with y'all in the fiscal year ending August 31 of 19. No, Mr. Grant was on the board at the time. He may be the only one. The very first year we did your audit related to your compliance with your financial aid department, your funding, your Title IV monies. Going back to that year, we had 14 findings related to different areas that needed to be improved. And these were areas that were either significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, depending on the level of those findings. For fiscal year 24, we had 0. Now, that's a vast improvement, guys, in the last 5 years. Your financial aid department needs to be commended for their hard work and for everything they've done to make this a better place for your students and to take care of some of those compliance issues. We appreciate them so much, and then they've been diligent about doing some things. And I know back when the first year we did it, you were in the process of implementing the new software system you're on. That went into place, I believe, the following year. And you continue to improve that, continue to work on it. And this is the first year that we've done an audit that we've had no findings related to compliance with the financial aid. So again, you need to be commended on that. Any questions that you may have tonight that I can address? I know it's a lot to digest. Dr. Morrison, anything to add?
No, I know everybody's really worked hard and diligently to make sure our processes are improved. We have checks and balances. We've done a good job about educating different areas on the campus on the importance of accuracy. Spencer and his group on the academic side, making sure we report accurately last day attendance and things of those natures, which can creep up on you. It's been a total campus effort not to repeat what happened back in 17, 18, 18, 19. So.
Any other questions? Anything else? If you have anything after tonight, if you come across anything you want to discuss, it, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. David can get you my information. Love to visit with you. And again, thank you very much. It's an exciting time to be a part of Trustees.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
work. I just would like to say, congratulations to, everyone that worked on this project. It's been a long, hard road. You have a lot of data to sift through and policies to not know. It's complicated, and I think you've done one heck of a job. Thank you all. All right, moving on. Consider and discuss. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we did. Yeah. Do I hear a motion to accept the audit as presented?
So moved.
Seconded by Dr. Kirkland. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. All right, now consider and discuss the minutes of the November 25th meeting. You have before you the minutes from that meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes? Move them first, Dr. Ronde and second by Dr. All in favor, say aye. Motion carries. Okay, just consider and discuss business, financial, investment reports for October and November 2024. Mr. Hopkins.
Yes, sir. Board, you gave you copies of October, November. What I'm going to be talking about, since they're cumulative numbers, is just November. You can see right at the top, tuition fees. The revenue side of it is up almost 4%. And I will point out, as you recall, the FAST program, in the state of Texas, both this year and last year have that effect in here. So we weren't facing what we did last year and having 1 year with FAST and 1 year without. But even given that, even the raw tuition numbers with the FAST effect in there is up 4%. You'll also see that you've got housing, food service, bookstore. And the bookstore, again, as you recall, is also affected by FAST. Those are up. One thing interesting I'll point out of this, Kaufman doesn't send their tax statements out always on time in October, but you see in November, both this year and last year, we collected about 2 million. If you look over to December, it goes to 12 million. A lot of that is just the timing. Also, it's a lot, taxpayers are not getting a discount for paying early. So most of us pay in that December, January timeframe, and that's 45% of your revenue. So you have a window there where a lot of your revenue comes in. That's just a function of mainly how taxpayers pay. The salaries are looking good, even though we had a much higher percentage from the salary study. We're still only a 3.64% increase. In your maintenance operations, we have some a lot of things going on in services with some new software incentives and things of that nature. And as we've talked about before, our insurance went up, and that was also paid as of November, a little later this year. Overall, we're 5.5 million ahead versus 6.3 last year. Again, you can see in December that jumps to 13 million. That number will taper off, obviously, as we spend those proceeds. Let's skip down to the investment report, Morgan. Yeah. Cap reserve, you're still looking at 30.86 $1.74 million. The next page, your capital reserve detail. We had a lot of project stuff there going on. And I will tell you, kind of looking ahead, you won't see this for a couple of months. We did receive a check from FEMA. How much was it? Check from FEMA. Okay. And today we also got a check for over $2 million from the insurance company. And we're going to try to allocate that among projects and give you, when this is all over, we'll give you a project report. But all those funds will be going into cap reserve because obviously that's where we're taking it out of. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that those Stephanie and her bunch had to hustle to get that $2 million check in the bank. We didn't want it sitting in the building. So get that out here. The last couple of pages, one is the over 25,000 for October. I know y'all have a chance to see that. All of these are in your packet, obviously. Vast majority of these are going to be related to the capital projects that we have going on. The last page in my presentation is the same thing for November. But again, just kind of echoing what Kevin was talking about, I think we got a lot of momentum here. And as you can see, based on the reports, the numbers are kind of bearing out the increases in tuition dollars, housing, and those sorts of things. And again, that's even with the FAST program. Last year, we received $1.1 million on the FAST program. And as we've discussed before, they take their sweet time in getting us the money, but it'll get here eventually.
How much was the FEMA money that you had come in?
Oh, what, 700 something, is that what y'all said?
207.
207.
So will that help cover our deductible on those things pretty well, or?
Right, that's what it is the deductible plus any of the buildings that we didn't file on that were because they were too low. They turned all those in as well. And so it'll be deductibles plus the ones that were too low to file on.
If I may, I don't believe that will be the last FEMA payment because FEMA breaks it down according to categories. And so that's the closing out of the first category. So there'll be others as well. And so I've been working with Ariana Spoon and capturing all those invoices and everything we paid out, be able to submit for each category.
And they kind of give you a break that they showed what we submitted, which was like 270,000. We were paid 207,000 of the 270,000 that was submitted. So it kind of gives you the rate that they're paying back on. So.
Well, I really think it's a tribute to this board and other boards before that we're able to have had no debt and be able to capital reserves to spend this money and pay it up front. I mean, it's not every institution like ours can do that.
And Steve, also it's like what Mark is saying, the same thing applies on insurance. This won't be the last of that because like most insurance, most of y'all have dealt with, they don't give you the last year money until you turn in the last year invoices and the work's complete. They want to know that you did it. And so there'll still be more insurance money coming as well.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Hopkins? Hearing none, do we hear a motion to approve the financial report?
Make a motion for the financial reports.
It's seconded by Dr. Kernan. All in favor? All, motion carries. Okay, Dr. Morrison, annual investment report.
Back to David.
David.
The board, we're required to do this every year. This is a report that we have to send to the state auditor's office by law. These figures that you see, this is their form. These are straight out of the financial statement in note 4, pages 25 and 26. The reason that we bring it to you because the law says the governing body shall. And so even though we've already posted it and we're going to send it to them, This is y'all's chance to shout. We just need y'all's approval.
Do I hear a motion to approve the annual investment report? Dr. Easton, you made a motion, Dr. Curran seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Consider and discuss capital reserve project.
David's got a.
Consider and discuss annual review of investment policy and strategy. Sorry.
Again, board, this is, under the Public Funds Investment Act, we are required to bring this to you once a year. You'll also see this in the policy approval. Let me say, and you can see the motion there. We're not recommending any changes to investment policy. Again, this is part of the review. I will tell you that you can see some red line changes that TASB has made, but it only applies to essentially who brokers and dealers have to register with and some hoops that they have to jump through. And TASB amends the local policy with whatever they change in the legal. And again, if you want to see the red line copy, it's under the policies. We just recommend approval to be in compliance with the act.
Any questions? Do I hear a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion to approve that resolution.
Thank you. Seconded by Trustee Stone. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Now, consider and discuss capital reserve project phase 2.
All right, we bring before you, phase 2 of our capital projects. I have Marcus here to answer some questions as well. You saw a portion with Tom's presentation concerning the welding. We've kind of broke it down into the kind of locale, the facility that the project's addressing. We're addressing some facility issues with South Hall, and but we're really going to attack West Hall this year with our bathroom improvements. A lot of the door frames around the bathroom are rusted out and just breaking apart. So we really want to address the bathrooms in the West Hall this year, along with some entryway points to address up those areas, and also burying the electrical lines that lead into the building. We want to put those underground going into the building. Then moving, like I said, the welding, we want to kind of complete revamp of the exterior, the integrity of the building with the roof, insulation. And we also have the drainage project and the concrete project, and also some internal repairs in the pipe simulator in that project. The automotive, we want right now, as we're moving into identifying programs to put in there, we definitely want to fix the exterior, because it is definitely, those two buildings are the two of the biggest eyesores on campus. And so we don't want it to stand out right next to the newly sheeted welding building. And we got money in the budget already to match the color of the buildings with cosmetology, with the color of the buildings that we go with. So that building will be in line with the two buildings that we're renovating. Grounds issues, you know, we need to get ahead of our campus is dirty, a lot of pressure washing on the clock tower, Cardinal Hall, that requires bringing people in with certain types of lifts. Addressing the ADA and sidewalks, most notably the non-accessible ADA ramp on the LRC building that is actually collapsing and falling off the building. Addressing that as we spot address sidewalks throughout our campuses, not only here in Athens, but Terrell and so forth. And also some signage, putting some new signage on West and South Hall, and of course the map journalism building signage, and so forth. And we have to address some electrical issues with that as well, because we're coming to discover a lot of our electrical is outdated and has to be new wiring has to be pulled in those projects. And then moving on to kind of a identified, the roof projects will be Gibbs and map journalism, which is now Archie and June Dennis Education Center. The Cardinal, we're dealing with a lot of issues with those old windows, a lot of humidity problems, a lot of cracking, and when they're not sealed. So sealing up that, doing some cladding around there, kind of updating the gym's appearance. A hay barn, this is something Mark's been needing for his program. If you remember from years ago, there were some proceeds left over from the sale of the property. We have that money, which is about $65,000, plus the 45,000 to construct a hay barn out at the facility. Then looking at some updating to the esports and moving them into a new location and doing some work update on Northwest Dorm. It's still an eyesore on the outside, working on to make improvements with the exterior on that facility. And we've come to determine we need a safe room out at the ranch. We do have students that stay there at night in their campers and stuff. So we want to construct bathrooms and a safe room to provide those students a place to go in case a storm arises. You know, we've had some storms that have come through real quickly, and we want to provide them something. And of course, parking lot improvements. This first phase of the parking lot improvements is going to address the parking lot between West and South Hall. That parking lot is in terrible shape. And so we're going to redo the whole parking lot and restripe it into a more organized way because we have a lot of parking issues over there as those dorms have become full. And then mechanical upgrades. As we've worked through a 5-year plan on mechanical upgrades, we're going to start attacking the first mechanical upgrades from an identified list through our partner in that. Marcus, you want to add your expertise?
You did a great job of all of that. That last point, the mechanical upgrades, that has to do, it's a mix. A lot of it is controls for our building automation system, so HVAC controls. Basically, our controls are so outdated on some of our buildings that we need a technician to actually go into the building in order to make adjustments. We can no longer, our software on devices no longer support the controls. So updating controls, building by building with each phase, but then also some major system upgrades such as replacing the fresh air unit at the Gibbs building, which is just a health issue. So we were excited to be able to put together kind of a phased plan that fits in with the capital improvement plan for that. And, you know, just to echo the sentiment earlier, you know, it's an exciting time to be at TVCC. That's definitely true. And even though we're not fully completed with the first phase of the capital plan, you can walk around and you can see the difference in the campus already beginning to take shape. And honestly, you can see the enthusiasm as well with students and the employees and just the general community. And people can see that exciting things are happening at the college. So just want to thank you all for your commitment to that process with the first phase, and hopefully that continues as well as we move forward.
And the reason we're kind of getting a head start is many of these projects will have to go out for bid, and our window for the summer is short on the dorm projects. And so we're able now to probably, as soon as we approve, can get started on some of those because our housing numbers go down in the spring. You know, we lose a lot of football and stuff like that. So we've done some shifting so we can get in there and get started on that because it's going to be substantial.
And so the board will understand this 2.6, 2,650,000, is that part of this year's budget?
The way we have done this, you know, we budgeted 2 million in contingency. So what we're going to do is go ahead and move 1 million of 2 million out of contingency, and then the rest will come out of reserves. And we are tracking. This is something that David, Jennifer, and we want to make sure we're tracking. Therefore, we're not depleting our reserves. And when we get to August 31st, 2025, and this is a very conservative estimate, we'll be at 31,822 million reserves. And that does not include what we'll be setting on revenue excess over expenses or any additional insurance money, FEMA money, or any additional things. This is a straight up interest and budgeted what we put in reserve. Everything else will be added to. So, and this also includes the fact that we just spent $3.9 million in the DOE, that we've been able to really maintain a sovereign. And then we went ahead and projected out to August 31st, 2026. Once again, doesn't include revenue excess over expenses, doesn't include the insurance money, etc. From 2025 to 2026, we expect reserves to go to 32,800,000. So an actual increase after we complete phase 2.
Well, that's a great accomplishment. Thank you. Yeah,
Dr. Marshall, in the Cardinal Gym, latter part of the summer, we had some ventilation problems in there.
Mhm.
Has that been addressed?
Yes, we addressed the HVAC.
Okay.
Now, long-term, we would like to we have those big units that drop down.
Right.
As we move forward, and obviously we have a dream of building a facility behind the gym. And there's been talks, if we're able to do that, to be able to create the HVAC duct to come rest on that and come through.
Okay.
So we no longer have those huge units, but you're looking at phase 4.
Okay.
For that, as we've had those conversations. But yes, the air units have been addressed, but we still have, those windows are, they're the original windows, they're very thin. We have a lot of elements getting in through those windows. So we're wanting to clad the windows up because they're already being blocked off. And update the exterior of the building, and also in the front entrance, there'll be some update to the front entrance area as well.
Any other questions on phase 2? Do I hear a motion to move forward as presented by Dr. Morrison and Dr. MacArthur on phase 2? Mr. Stone made it, second by Dr. Eason. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. It's making a huge difference on all of our campuses.
Next item of business is consider and discuss policy update 48.
All right, I have Dr. Dots in here to kind of give us a rundown on the policy updates.
A lot of these updates were really non-expansive. They are just some minor updates that have been sent out. A majority of the updates from TASB will be later this year once the legislative cycle close. You guys will see a lot more, a much bigger stack to have to go through, unfortunately. But if you guys have any questions about any of the changes that they made, but like I said, they're very minor.
Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Dodds? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve update on policy 48?
So moved.
Second by Ron Day. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. All right, item number 14, discuss TVCC Police Department racial profiling report.
I have Marcus here to present the racial profiling report.
Yes. Board, you have in front of you, this is to bring the college into compliance, with the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. Every year, compiling and submitting a racial profiling report. And so that's what you have in front of you. I reviewed it and I didn't see anything of concern. Part of the requirements in compliance is to report this to the board as well, so that I'm bringing this to you for information purposes. No action is required.
Any comments or questions? Thank you, Dr. MacArthur. Next item of business, consider, discuss, propose, or updating the Board of Trustees scholarship.
All right, I have Tammy with us today to talk about some scholarship updates. One thing that we've been noticing over the last couple of years, we need to do a better job of making our scholarships a recruitment tool. We do hand out a lot of scholarships to students that have already graduated from Trinity Valley. And therefore, investment's not being made into students. They may be seeking a higher education that may not have economic means to do so. And revamping our scholarship structure will give us an opportunity to go after those students and give them an economic incentive to start their education here at Trinity Valley. And Tammy can actually, a very shocking number, the number of percentage that we were actually using compared to what we were passing out. And I'm going to turn it over to Tammy.
Yeah, so I was honestly pretty surprised, and I've seen these scholarships year after year. Just looking at 2023, we awarded 239 Board of Trustees top 10% scholarships. only 47 of those scholarships were used. And 28 of those were only used during the summer, which means that those students are more than likely, the majority of them have graduated with us through dual credit, and they're at the university, so they're coming back in the summer and taking a class here or there to help them at the university. And one of the things that we've seen is that, I mean, with the switch and the way that we're funded now, it's not necessarily all about just getting those contact hours. How can we want to look at ways that we can be more intentional with our scholarship money to bring in and offer students scholarships that are truly needing to finish their dual credit work that they've already started, or start brand new at TVCC. And we want to be able to use this as a recruitment tool to get them here. Provided to you gives a breakdown of the structure and the way that the Board of Trustees, the current Board of Trustees scholarship is awarded. And then what we're proposing that it changes to, combining it with our institutional scholarship to be able to award a $2,000 scholarship at each of our public service area high schools. That'll be used in the fall and spring here at TVCC, where they're attending full time and they're working towards completing some type of degree or certificate. Any questions for what you information?
Would this include non-traditional students or any second-year students that we might have here that needed some support?
So intention for this would be for those students fresh out of high school. We already have our foundation scholarships that, of course, our high school graduates can apply for, but our traditional or our non-traditional coming back, they can apply for those as well. We were really trying to focus on something that we could go to the high schools with, that would give us that leverage as a recruitment tool to be able to bring those students. We know that we have a large population of students who either start dual credit and they don't complete, or they never go to college after they graduate. So we're trying to be intentional with those funds to get those students that we know need to attend college in order to better their lives to go ahead and complete that way.
Thanks. Does anybody else have any questions? Well, hearing none, do we hear a motion to approve the proposed change of our institutional superintendent scholarship budget?
So moved.
Second, Trustee Morton. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. All right, next item, number 16, consider and discuss personnel updates for November and December 2024.
Before you have a review of the personnel updates, retirements and new hires, just seeking your approval.
Any questions, comments? We hear a motion to approve the personnel updates.
I'll make that motion to approve that list.
Second, Trustee Snow. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Last, item number 17, consider and discuss 2025, 2026 school year calendar.
We just have to have the board approve our calendar. On a side note, in working with Dr. Sims, I appreciate her and her assistance on this. We notified all of our schools our anticipated calendar. And I know Athens has already joined on board with the light calendar for next year. And I expect many of our other school districts are following suit with her, because she did a wonderful job in communicating with her fellow superintendents. We choose our calendar based on our 8-week terms. We didn't want to have an 8-week term be interrupted in the last week with spring break, because honestly, we'd be very fearful if those students would make it back. So we wanted to make sure that it ended before spring break. And then we started new after spring break, because we always panic after Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving is late in the year. Dr. Easton's been in higher education, you always wonder who returns back. And so that's why we set our calendar that way, because of how our 8-week terms go. And working with Dr. Sims, and I know she worked with a lot of other superintendents. I anticipate they're following soon. I know Athens just approved their calendar with the same spring break.
Any questions?
Appreciate that, because that was something that was important to me, that we worked with her, and I think it's great.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve the proposed 2025-2026 school year calendar? Ginger made the motion, seconded by Rhonda. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Do I hear anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll do it. I'll do it, Charlie Connor.
Ron seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you all for being here. We are adjourned.